Hi there, welcome back to the Community of Readers video blog. We're following the Old Testament readings for the Monkey Bar Challenge, and this week we're in the middle chapters 10 to 26 of Numbers. This is called No Human Rights. It's such a relief after about a month of wading through rules and regulations and genealogies to finally get back to the storyline. But it's quite a disparate set of material. There's not really any clear broad brush themes, but I think we can draw out a general sense from these chapters of what is a recurring theme for Israel. That they must have no other gods but Yahweh. It's hard for us to really put ourselves in the position of the ancient Israelites and understand what it was like to live amongst the cultures that they did, that were so polytheistic. Polytheistic means there's an assumption there's loads of different gods. And Israel's growing monotheism, belief in just one God, was just so radical in its day. I mean, try telling somebody who has lived all their life with a spectrum of colours that there's only one colour, or telling a food lover that there are only carrots. It's just it's a crazy idea for people who assume that there are many gods. And people would find the idea of one God just really overbearing. Yahweh seems exclusive. And by Molech, if this God really is better, well, he'd better prove it. And so we have lots of grumbling, lots of questioning, lots of rebelling. Why should we follow Yahweh? He's brought us nothing but trouble. We were better off in Egypt. We don't have food, we don't have water, our enemies are too big. And the people question Moses and Aaron, and even Aaron questions Moses, and the bottom line is, trust is fading. The stories of Numbers 10 to 14, 16 and 17, and 20 and 21 are pretty disturbing, because in the face of this dying trust, Israel has become a totalitarian police state style theocracy. There is zero tolerance for dissent. Mind-boggling numbers are killed for their rebellion, and unquestioning loyalty to Moses is mandatory. The irony, of course, is in the quest for freedom, the Israelites continually endure seemingly oppressive punishments from their liberator God. Is this all just a big mess? Can anything good come from this wandering wilderness rebuke? In chapters 22 to 26, we read a fascinating and powerful comedy involving Balak, the king of Moab, and Balaam, the prophet. Through Balaam's oracles, we do get a different vision. We catch a glimpse of the wandering Israel. He says, "From the rocky peaks I see them, from the heights I view them. I see a people who live apart and do not consider themselves one of the nations. No misfortune is seen in Jacob, no misery observed in Israel. The Lord their God is with them, the shout of the king is among them. The people rise like a lioness. They rouse themselves like a lion that does not rest till he devours his prey and drinks the blood of his victims." You can imagine Balaam looking down on the plains of the Jordan and seeing this vast sea of people camped in their 12 divisions around the central tabernacle, with no political allegiance, their customs clearly foreign. It must have been an electrifying vision. And these are the two Israels of Numbers. On the one hand, fidelity to Yahweh hangs by a thread. Yet on the other, compare Israel to her neighbours, and the difference is startling. We may not applaud the means of refinement, but get outside the camp and up on the mountainside and there's a bigger perspective involved. Israel is a light for others, not just herself. There's so much about these narratives that's difficult to assess. The God of this story, of these stories, is so harsh. Are we being soft if we question his judgment? Maybe there's an important lesson for us that good things do require significant sacrifice. That's certainly something the New Testament would confirm. But maybe also we need to use the hindsight of history to question Moses and his methods. It'd be so easy when so much is at stake. In this case, the survival of the nation of Israel in its own right, to put words in God's mouth and have him justify the necessary measures required to weed dissent out of the community. Moses would not be the first person in history to do this, and he wouldn't be the last. If this is indeed what's going on, I may be wrong about Moses, but there's something troublingly powerful about having only one man able to hear from God and deliver the rules. And when any kind of democracy is proposed, see chapter 16, for it to be instantly punished by death. I may be totally wrong about Moses, and he may have been doing exactly what God asked of him. But the God I see in Jesus does not really match the God of Numbers. I find myself wondering why. For me, these middle chapters of Numbers are a powerful example of the intense wrestling that good people must do when entrusted with an important task. Was it worth it? What am I prepared to compromise in the cause of achieving what I feel I need to achieve? Moses was entrusted with the leadership of Israel, the people of Yahweh, who must have no other gods but him. The task was laudable, but at what cost? Was it worth it? I think this is the question that Numbers leaves us with. And to ask it is good for the soul, because we must all wrestle with the tension between the end, the goal, and the means, the path to achieving that goal. It's an age-old question. Does the end justify the means? And Numbers asks it most potently. So just one question for reflection this week. What are you most committed to? And what would you sacrifice to achieve it? You can find out more about the Community of Readers and the Monkey Bar Challenge at our website, communityofreaders.com. Until next week in the last part of Numbers, have a great week. Cheers.